All right, everybody. Continuing the discussion, going from liquidity to the transformative power of chain fusion. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome up our next speaker, Sam of Dfinity Foundation.
Welcome, can you hear me? Yes. Welcome, Bitcoin builders. Thanks for having me. My name is Sam. I lead the engineering team at the Dfinity Foundation. Dfinity is one of the main contributors to the Internet Computer Protocol, ICP. I want to talk about chain fusion. Chain fusion is a developer toolbox that allows you to fuse together chains or assets on different chains. In particular, it allows you to build L2-like solutions on top of Bitcoin. Let's dive in and start first with what is at the core of chain fusion. And that is the ability of smart contracts on ICP, which we call canisters, to sign transactions and to bi-directionally communicate with other chains. And we can do so, or you can do so, without a single point of trust. Now, what is only 4 lines of this slide is actually quite significant, right? Because normally you hold your private key in a wallet off-chain, whereas with chain fusion, actually the smart contract can virtually hold your private key. And that allows you then to integrate and perform activities on other chains. And I'll first want to motivate why this is exciting and what you can build with this, and also what this brings to the Bitcoin world, and then give a glimpse at what the architecture is that enables this. So chain fusion allows you to enrich or augment your existing crypto app. I'm not here to preach that you should move your core app to another chain, to ICP. I'm not here to say you should move your tokens or assets. Instead, I want to show you how you could use this to expose your existing app, your existing assets onto another chain, and how that could provide value to your app, but also to the Bitcoin community in general. So by doing so, you can then use the quite significant capabilities of ICP, for example, and I guess not everybody's so familiar with ICP. I want to motivate you that for a moment. On ICP, you can expose smart contracts to the web. So basically, you can use your web browser to directly access a smart contract, and the smart contract serves you HTML, pictures, etc., fully from the chain. That allows you to then, for example, build a wallet that is non-custodial in your browser, no special add-ons or so necessary. And with Chain Fusion, you can do that and control, for example, Bitcoin. ICP has also quite an impressive computational power. You can, for example, run AI models on chain. Earlier today, my colleague Kyle was presenting how this is possible. So that gives you an idea of the magnitude of compute you have at your disposal. Or you can have gigabytes of data that you store on chain. There is also a quite comprehensive DAO framework that allows you to govern your assets, your app. So these are some of the examples what you can abstractly build, but let's rather look at some concrete projects that have been built. And some of them are actually here in Nashville, some of them are even here today, so I would encourage you to also reach out to them and see what impressive stuff they have built. For example, the Omnity network has built a chain interoperability protocol that allows you to expose Bitcoin to L2s in the EVM world. Some of you may know Bob Bodley and the Bionic project that has built a decentralized ordinals marketplace that uses also ICP to run the marketplace, and it interacts with ordinals on Bitcoin directly. Another project that is here present at Nashville is the Dfinity network. They have ported an EVM to ICP and can now run Solidity contracts that control Bitcoin. Loca Mining is another one, a team that aims to tokenize Bitcoin mining and thereby push basically create a counter push towards the centralization of mining because of the necessity for lots of resources to mine. There's various DEXs available that use this technology. There is Chainlink-like oracles, but fully on-chain. I hope that gives you a bit of an idea of what is possible with this technology. Now I'm engineer, so I like to talk about the technical topics. So I'm happy to talk about what is this stack and why this is made possible. I mentioned before there is two main components at the core of it. One is the ability to sign transaction, and the other one is the integration with other chains. Key management and signing. Here we started out with a ECDSA threshold version. And how does this work? The nodes on the ICP blockchain each have a share of the key, and they run a protocol, a threshold signing protocol, so that at no point in time the entire key is known to any node. But at the end of it, you can sign a transaction in a secure way without leaking the key. So that's the key management part. And what is interesting more for the Bitcoin world is the direct Bitcoin integration. Here, a node on the ICP network or multiple nodes actually run in parallel to a Bitcoin node, which allows then these nodes to expose Bitcoin state to smart contracts on ICP. So then a smart contract on ICP can read state of Bitcoin or write to it or basically submit transactions. Combined with the signing, this allows you to then control assets with smart contracts. There is a second kind of integration that we have built, which is the decentralized RPC integration that's used for EVM, for the EVM world. In that case, the nodes on ICP reach out to multiple RPC providers, which then reach into the respective EVM networks, and that's how you expose or can interact with EVM chains. By now, there is about 20 different chains, most notably, of course, Bitcoin and also Ethereum that are available. And with this framework, you can, as mentioned earlier, fuse together these chains and assets of this chain and use then standard protocol capabilities, such as the compute and storage I mentioned, but also timers. Think here of a cron job, like a cron job in a smart contract. That's also something that you wouldn't find in many places. There is deterministic randomness. Think about you want to build your own decentralized casino. You need randomness, right? That's what you get there. There is outcalls, so you can make calls outside of the chain to Web2 assets, for example, for price information or serving web assets, as mentioned before. This whole package then allows you to build ordinals marketplace like Bionic. So I encourage you to talk to Bob Bodley and his team for what they have created, Omnity network, etc. Now, we have only started to use the term chain fusion a few months back, but actually our team has been working, and also together with the community, on this for quite a long time. We started out at Genesis of ICP, that's more than 3 years ago, and we first built the threshold ECDSA signing functionality combined with the direct Bitcoin integration. This was launched in summer 2022. Then it became clear that while it's super attractive to manage Bitcoin and submit transactions to Bitcoin, it still, of course, takes quite a while until you have the confirmation, sufficient confirmation that your transaction went through. So there's quite some latency, which is not a super attractive user experience. To that end, we then continued to build what we call CKBTC. It's kind of a wrapped BTC on ICP, or we call it a twin. And we then focused on EVM, and we built this RPC integration combined with a twin for Ethereum, that's CKETH. By now, you have twins of almost every ERC20 token that you can mix now together with Bitcoin. And I'm very excited that just a few days ago, we released a threshold version of the Schnorr signature scheme, and we call this the Deuterium milestone, and that's what I want to cover next. I think in this Bitcoin world, Schnorr signatures are not something unknown, right? So it has become very popular with the BIP 340 standard. And so what our team has been working on is a threshold signing version of the Schnorr signature scheme. Again, you need no single point, there's no single point of trust. The shares of these keys are distributed among the nodes of the network. And that allows you to then create taproot transactions and to sign them again with a smart contract. The test key for this is live. So I encourage everybody to play around with this. We have released the developer documentation only a few days back. The prod key will follow in early August. And this now allows you to inscribe with smart contracts. It allows you to hold more Bitcoin assets or control them. But there is also applications outside of the Bitcoin realm. For example, the X509 certificates use Schnorr signatures, and you could now think of building a decentralized certificate authority. I'm not going to go into the whole code, but it just shows you how actually quite easily you can derive your key in your smart contract and then create your, for example, taproot transaction. If I made you curious about chain fusion, and again, I'm not here to just be shilling ICP. I rather want to invite more of a conversation among other also L2 providers or L2 builders. We host a so-called Chain Fusion Day tomorrow afternoon in the Johnny Cash Bar and Barbecue. Would be great if some of you could join. We have lots of interesting guests from Stacks, from Layer 1 Foundation, from projects that have been building this technology. I'll also stay around and hope for some discussions outside of the stage. That brings me to the end of my talk. Thanks very much for having us, and wish you all a great time in Nashville. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sam.